Welcome to the VA Salesforce Functional Organization Manual, or FOM for short, training. Hi, I'm Megan Potler from the Office of Enterprise Integration, and I am going to be your navigator for this FOM training module. Thank you for taking the time to learn about the VA's FOM and how the Salesforce FOM application will help streamline the FOM production process. The VA's FOM was developed in 2011 by direction of the Chief of Staff. It serves as the authoritative source for VA organizational structural information and provides stakeholders with a single reference that describes what gets done, by whom, for whom, and under what authority within VA. The FOM is designed to describe organizational information to facilitate synchronized and coordinated actions and ensure optimal execution of VA's mission and strategy. This training was developed for the Salesforce FOM application roles of the FOM Action Officer, FOM Point of Contact, or FOM POC, and the FOM Data Provider. We will go into the details of each role coming up. This training module was developed to provide a general overview of the FOM and FOM application and details on the current and future vision and integration of the FOM application with other VA Salesforce applications. We will also review the navigation of the FOM application based on your specific FOM user role to include logging into Salesforce, filing a help ticket, basic user navigation, and training on how to complete a FOM data request. There are two VA directives that are pertinent to the development and management of the FOM. VA Directive 211, the VA Functional Organization Manual Directive, and VA Directive 213, Department of Veterans Affairs Organizational Changes Policy. Directive 211 was published in October of 2013 and established the department-wide policy for the VA FOM and provided the authority to the Office of Enterprise Integration, formerly the Office of Policy and Planning, to oversee and manage the FOM and all updates to the FOM. Directive 213 was published in August of 2014 and updated VA's policy on all organizational changes across the department. To review these documents, please visit our FOM SharePoint site as displayed on the slide. It is important to spend a few minutes discussing some of the FOM and FOM application standard terms and definitions. An administration is a term used to identify one of the three major VA operational elements, which include the Veterans Health Administration, or VHA, the Veterans Benefit Administration, or VBA, and the National Cemetery Administration, or NCA. A staff office is a term used to identify one of the offices included under VA Central Office. This does not refer to VA administrations, VHA, VBA, or NCA, nor does it refer to medical facilities, regional offices, or cemeteries. An administration and a staff office are both represented as a Level 1 VA organization within the FOM organizational hierarchy. We will talk about this a little more in just a few minutes. An organization is a term that refers to any component, subdivision, or group of employees that is directed by a supervisory position, per the Office of Personnel Management guidance. And a supervisor is an employee that accomplishes work through the direction of subordinate employees. In the FOM application, an account represents a VA organization. An individual organization's account page contains all the information present on the FOM app for that given organization. This consists of all the information present in the FOM data request. For the purposes of the FOM application, the term program refers to the program list developed by the Office of Management. The business reference model is a graphical, hierarchical representation of the functional aspects of the core business of the department. Please follow the BRM 101 training link for further training and instruction on VA's business reference model. A level represents a tier at which an organization resides in the VA's organizational hierarchy. Level 0 is the overall Department of Veterans Affairs. Level 1 includes all administrations and staff offices. Level 2 and below are made up of all other organizations. This graphic depicts how the FOM will be translated into an organizational hierarchy chart. The Department of Veterans Affairs and the VA Secretary is represented by level 0, as the FOM represents the work done by the entire department. The staff office's assistant secretaries and administration's undersecretaries are represented as level 1, as they are directly under or directly report to the VA Secretary. Level 2 is represented by the Principal Deputy Undersecretaries and the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretaries organizations, or their equivalents. And Level 3 includes the Assistant Deputy Undersecretaries and the Deputy Assistant Secretaries, or equivalents, that in turn report to the Level 2 personnel. The organizational hierarchy continues to break down in the same manner as described previously, with each successive layer reporting to the layer above, and if filled out properly, will include all VA organizations. There are 3 types of Salesforce FOM user roles. The FOM Action Officer participates with the Office of Policy and Interagency Collaboration, or OPIC's Executive Director, in planning FOM updates, preparing all FOM-related correspondence, interacting with FOM POCs to facilitate completion of FOM updates, overseeing the implementation of requested changes to the FOM, producing the FOM document, submitting the FOM document for senior leadership approvals, and disseminating the finalized FOM documentation for publication. Each organization in VA must designate a FOM point of contact, or FOM POC. The FOM POC is responsible for providing and periodically updating the FOM content for the designated organizations. The FOM POC can provide or update the FOM content themselves or assign this work to one or more FOM data providers. In either case, the POC is ultimately responsible for gaining the necessary level of approval from the appropriate authority within their organization before submitting their updated FOM data request in the FOM application. The FOM data provider is a subject matter expert designated by FOM POCs to provide or update content for FOM data requests. The data provider does not have permission to authorize the completion of a FOM data collection in the FOM application. This is the responsibility of the FOM POC. Every VA organization is responsible for providing a FOM update. In order to ensure consistency and timeliness, a FOM data call will be issued by the FOM Action Officer. The FOM point of contacts will be the recipients of the FOM Action Officer's data call via email and task created within Salesforce. This is why it is very important to ensure that your organization's FOM point of contact is designated correctly within the organization's Salesforce account record. We will go into detail on how to assign your organization's FOM point of contact in just a few minutes. After your organization's FOM point of contact has been notified of the FOM update request, they have 2 options on how to provide the updated content. They can update the record themselves, or they can designate the update requirement to a FOM data provider. If they assign the update to a FOM data provider, that individual will also be pinged by an email and task created within Salesforce. If the organization's FOM point of contact designates the data request to a data provider, they will have the ability to monitor the status of the data request to track when the FOM data provider has completed their tasking. After the task has been completed by the data provider, the FOM point of contact will have the chance to review the content and receive any organization approvals required before designating the updated record as complete. Once the record has been designated as complete, the FOM Action Officer is notified and the submission is assumed to be final. If the FOM POC chooses to provide the updated FOM content themselves, and they do not need to create a task or assign a FOM data provider to the data request. Instead, they will only need to update the information, obtain their organizational approvals, either via VAIQ or route sheet, and after the approval has been received, they would mark their data collection as complete and the FOM action officer will be notified. The current Salesforce FOM application does not have higher level approvals built in. However, we are working with the Executive Secretary's office to ensure there is a FOM data collection process built into the new Views platform. The Views platform will eventually be the VAIQ replacement for the department and is being developed in Salesforce. We will briefly discuss that feature capability on the next slide. If you log into Salesforce for the first time and are unable to find your organization's record, or if your organization goes through a reorg, either adding, deleting, renaming, or moving an organization, your office is responsible for contacting the Office of Enterprise Integration with a summary of changes, as the FOM Action Officer will have to create the new organizational account. See Directive 213 for more details regarding proper procedures for reorg. For configuration control purposes, the FOM Action Officer is the only role within Salesforce that has the privileges to add and delete organization records. Once an account has been established, the FOM workflow for an existing account will be followed. As we stated previously, current Salesforce FOM application does not have higher level approval process built in. However, we are working with the Executive Secretary's office to ensure that there will be a FOM data collection approval process built into the new Views platform. When the Views application is live, the transition from the FOM application, which is where the FOM content will be managed, and the Views application, which is where the FOM content approvals will be requested and tracked, will be seamless. Just as in the previous workflow, a FOM data recall will be issued by the FOM Action Officer. The FOM POC will be the recipients of the FOM Action Officer's data call via email and task created within Salesforce, and they will have the choice to either update the content themselves or assign the update request to the FOM data provider. After the task has been completed by the data provider, the FOM POC will have the chance to review the content, and the FOM POC can send the reviewed content into the Views Salesforce application and assign as many levels of approval that their organization requires. Once the necessary levels of approval have been met, the record will come back to the FOM POC to be designated as complete, and the FOM Action Officer would be notified that the submission is final. Again, if your organization's record isn't established, the procedures discussed on the previous slide would need to be followed, and then the FOM workflow detailed above could be followed. Before we go into the FOM Salesforce application, it would be helpful for a new user to have access to the FOM user guides for their appropriate role. The user guides can be obtained on our FOM SharePoint site at the link provided on this slide. You will also find the Salesforce links for your appropriate roles, as well as the VA Salesforce Help Desk link within each user guide. If you would like, you can pause this video to copy down the FOM SharePoint site and download the appropriate user guides before proceeding.